So let's talk The Defenders. Marvel's, Netflix's, Disney's The Defenders. So obviously an 8-episode series on Netflix, the culmination of the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage and Iron Fist shows. 8 episodes. Is it any good? I'm really not going to talk about the plot very much, and I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here, is that I actually think this is quite a weak show, and I'd even argue it could actually be the weakest out of the Netflix shows. And I've seen some reviews that have been mostly positive for it, but I feel it isn't. Personally speaking, don't lynch me, let me explain. Let's talk about any of the good stuff first of all, then I'll talk about why I have a problem with this, basically. The best things about this show, I feel, is I think the characters here, the character moments are very good. Especially Charlie Cox's Daredevil, fantastic. He really has the best arc here, and you really kind of realise you've missed the Daredevil TV show when you watch him in here, really. So I thought he was very, very good, and by far and away the strongest character and actor. Luke Cage I really liked. He was my second favourite. Again, very charismatic actor, and I feel he gets a fair amount to do here. Jessica Jones, Kristen Meta plays a great role here. I don't think the writing with her was particularly strong. She has this arc, but it just seems a little bit weak, sort of, and I almost feel they don't really know what to do with her. So she kind of seems a little bit undefined still about what her role is, what her kind of powers are. And Finn Jones as Iron Fist, I feel like they've kind of leaned into his criticisms a little bit and almost made him a bit of a dickhead on purpose, and they've made him this very powerful character, but really is very impetuous and have no self-control, which is strange because he's meant to be all about focus and being able to focus your energy into this this Iron Fist, but he just seems so hot-headed and kind of flies off the handle. So I thought that was all quite good. And I will say there's some very well choreographed action sequences in this kind of series, particularly as we kind of go through as the series gets kind of later. That I thought was all quite good. And let's talk about some of the negatives here, because I'm dying to talk about them. Let's go through it. The first 2 episodes are set up, and I felt when you have 8 episodes, having the first 2 as set up was wasteful. I would have condensed that down to 1, and I feel the ending, the culminative series finale could have been expanded a little bit, and maybe had a little bit more time to breathe, because I do feel it was kind of we'll come on to that. But yeah, I don't think it needed 2 episodes of setup, and we don't really see the Defenders come together until the end of the 3rd one. So yeah, it was a bit boring, the first 2 episodes, I'm not going to lie. I've got to say, I had some problems with some of the storytelling here, because to me it didn't make sense. There's very, very mild spoilers here. The hand of the bad guys, their plan to me didn't make sense. They want to get a substance, that's kind of all I'll say about it. And we're told that they want to destroy New York. Why? What's the purpose? There's absolutely no purpose in destroying New York. I mean, even if it was a consequence of their actions, then maybe you could argue that, but it wasn't. So that, and it kind of was never really kind of mentioned after they kind of just glossed over it. Oh yeah, this city's going to crumble. That's what's happened before. But it's never really discussed. It just seems to be glossed over. I don't really understand why they need to do it and how they were going to do it and what the purpose of it was. Seemed a little bit silly to me. And then we have this whole black sky thing, which, in case you know, is to do with Elektra, and they've made a big deal right since she was introduced that, you know, the black sky is this ultimate weapon. She's basically just a person who can fight a little bit better than the majority of others. What's so fantastically amazing about that? She's just a good fighter. It doesn't really have any other powers to speak of, and it's kind of like, it's made to be this big thing, but she's just like a good fighter. And we have this whole big black sky plot, and she's kind of resurrected, and I don't know. It just seemed stupid to me and like wasteful. What was the big deal? I mean, there's like, yeah, she's a good fighter, and then she has some good action sequences, but I don't know. I just say, what was the big deal about it? I mean, you could get 10 guys and who are, nearly as good maybe and do the same job. Seems a bit odd. Sigourney Weaver, always good to watch, but I just felt she was added here to have a heavyweight name to the series, because I didn't really feel like she did all that much, if I'm honest. I mean, she's led to believe, without spoilers, she has a kind of a long history, but I gotta say, I felt her presence was somewhat inconsequential to the actual sort of story, if I'm being completely honest. The ending of the show, which I won't say what it is just particularly stupid. What actually happens, and the very kind of last shot, come on. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And although I like some of the action sequences, it kind of is just a bit silly at times that we have, 4 essentially unarmed people going into a whole bunch of room and everyone is just fist fighting. Very rarely do we see people kind of just pull out guns and try to shoot them. And yeah, I know Luke Cage is bulletproof, but the other 3 aren't. I don't know. It just seems like criminals just wouldn't do that. They would just shoot the shit. There's one fight, and the stats are there's 30 of them and 4 of us, and 2 of them have got guns. Come on. It's just ridiculously slick, and it's just like cheesy stuff to have set pieces. And just very small story beats about little things. And there's a scene, for example, involving a piano, and we're meant to believe someone is a lawyer and a detective, and yet they can't. They're surprised about this simple clue. Oh, it just, honestly, it's just really dumb. I just thought the story was very, very dumb. The supporting characters were a mixed bag. I thought Mr. Knight was quite good, I've got to say, and I kind of like Claire Temple, but some of the other characters just seemed a little bit shoehorned in there, I've got to say, just so we can have these cameos from other Netflix's series. And the Hand themselves, I feel like they've been a bit done to death now. It's just, again, just not particularly interesting. So I have to say, I was kind of disappointed with this. I like the character stuff. The first 3 episodes were boring. I don't think we needed all that kind of essentially setup. We've already seen everyone's had a season. We don't need 2 episodes of setup. Disappointing. I've got to say, I was disappointed. It had some good action sequences, and there's some good character moments, and I like the way the characters are portrayed by the actors. They should have given Jessica Jones more to do, I feel. Gotta say, I was disappointed with this one. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? Do you agree with me? Does everyone love this show? Anyway, leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.